Welcome back to Reflect. My name is Brendan. Kamala Harris today released her medical records, and guess who didn't release their medical records? That's right, Donald Trump, making him the only president in modern political history to not let the American people know how healthy he is. So, of course, Kamala Harris ripped him a new one.
So today I released my medical records, as has, I believe, every candidate for president of the United States except Donald Trump in this election cycle. And it's just a further example of his lack of transparency, that on top of his unwillingness to debate again, his unwillingness to do an interview with 60 Minutes, which again is part of the norm of what anyone running for president of the United States does. And I think that it's obvious that his team, at least, does not want the American people to see everything about who he is. And you put that on top of even the most recent reports of General Milley, one of the people who worked the closest with Donald Trump, referring to him as being unstable. And it is clear to me that he and his team do not want the American people to really see what it is that he is doing and whether or not he actually is fit to do the job of being president of the United States. So.
You obviously don't have insight into what his health is, but from watching him, do you think he's fit for office?
I will not give you a medical analysis of his fitness, but on every other level, when it comes to what we should expect in a president of the United States around having the ability to actually exercise good judgment, both as commander-in-chief and as the leader of this great country, we know that he does not have the ability to do the job. He is unfit for office. He talks at his rallies about fictional characters. He constantly is in a state of grievance about himself. He has no plans for the American people. And then he just makes things up on a full-time basis with the intention to make the people afraid, to make people fear that which they should not be afraid of. But he does it in a way that he thinks, I think, will compel them to believe that somehow he is the savior, when in fact he is quite unfit to do the job.
For all the discussion that he had about President Biden's mental acuity in particular, what do you think about President Trump's mental acuity and whether it's declined since, say, his 2016 campaign?
I invite the public to watch his rallies and be the decision maker on his acuity. And you will see in his rallies how he goes off on tangents, how he is not focused on the needs of the American people with solutions to the issues that concern them the most. Listen, there's no question, I say it in my rallies. This is a tight race. It is a margin of error race. And that's why I'm out here and will continue for the next 24 days to be traveling around our country, talking with folks about the issues that matter most to them, and offering them what I believe to be solutions to the challenges that they are facing. I'm going to be talking with them continuously about, for example, how some of the most respected economists in the country, whether they be the 16 Nobel Prize laureates or Goldman Sachs, have referred to my economic policy as one that would strengthen America's economy as compared to Donald Trump's policies, which would weaken America's economy. I will be talking about the fact that I have the support of Republicans who worked with both Presidents Bush, Mitt Romney, John McCain, and Donald Trump who are supporting my candidacy because they believe that it is important to put country above party when we are looking at the other side of this equation at a Donald Trump who has been clear that he would terminate the Constitution of the United States and be a dictator on day one. So this is a tight race, but the choice is clear. The voters have a choice between what we are offering, which is to look to the future of America and invest in the American people, or a Donald Trump who is constantly trying to take us backward. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Before we get into reflecting on this video, I want to play for you a message from today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Aura, an online security company that I am incredibly proud to be partnering with to bring you a better sense of security online, because recently hackers may have stolen every American's social security number. These stolen records include a person's full name, their address, their date of birth, their phone number, and members of this hacking group have released all of the information online for free. So if you weren't taking precautions with your personal information online before, this should be the time to take action, because you've never been more vulnerable than you are right now. But I'm not too worried, because I've recently started using Aura that tracks my public information, including my social security number, across billions of data points online, including the dark web and public court records in case of identity theft. They also provide you a bunch of other features to keep you safe online, all inside a very easy to use app. You can go to aura.com/reflect to get 2 weeks free, which will give Aura plenty of time to see if any of your personal records have been leaked online. Why wait for another national public data breach to secure your online information? So be sure to go now to aura.com/reflect to get your 2 weeks free. The only thing I could think about when I was listening to Kamala Harris was Project 2025. And that's because Donald Trump, JD Vance, they're trying to distance themselves from the authors of Project 2025 and that 900-page document. But we all know that they're going to use it, as Tim Walz says, their playbook in the second term. And that kind of goes to Kamala Harris talking about Donald Trump and his team there, how Donald Trump really doesn't have any ideas. He's just repeating things that his team says, because his team doesn't want you to know much about Donald Trump, and they don't want you to know what he's going to do in his second term. Now, JD Vance talked about Project 2025 and Donald Trump today at a rally in Western Pennsylvania, and I want you to listen to him and note the difference between how Kamala Harris describes Trump and his team and how JD Vance describes Trump and his team.
Love Donald Trump or not, does anybody speak for Donald Trump except for Donald Trump? No. So here, it's funny, because the Kamala Harris campaign has nothing to actually run on. They're taking a 900-page report from a conservative nonprofit organization and saying somehow that organization speaks for Donald Trump. Again, I don't know if you've noticed, but Donald Trump speaks for himself. Project 25 has no relation to the Trump campaign. It doesn't control what we do. No one controls what we do on the Trump campaign except for the man at the top of the ticket, and that's Donald J. Trump. So
according to JD Vance, no one tells Donald Trump what to say. But according to Kamala Harris, Donald Trump doesn't really have anything going on up here. He's being handled. His team, his speechwriters are the ones who are making Donald Trump the puppet talk. I mean, I loved when Kamala Harris was asked about his mental acuity, and her response was, just look at him. Just watch his rallies. It's not only Kamala Harris saying this, right? She brought up General Milley. There are dozens of people who worked in Donald Trump's cabinet who say, don't trust this guy. And so him not releasing his medical records is another one of those question marks that isn't going to help Donald Trump for voters in the last 3 weeks of the election. Voters who are tuning in now to say, okay, what's going on? Wait, so why wouldn't he release his medical records? Like, that seems a little shady, on top of, everything else that we know about Donald Trump. Still waiting on his tax records, still waiting on his concepts of a plan to replace Obamacare. Let me know what your thoughts are on Trump's medical records, and be sure to subscribe so you get future videos in the inbox. Thanks for watching.